It is Weather Impact Live. I'm meteorologist Robert Speta. Hey.
And I'm meteorologist Lee Southwick, and we have the 2 o'clock advisory from the National Hurricane Center on Tropical Storm Bertha.
You know, a little strengthening in the last update. This one, not too much of a change. But the hurricane hunters did find 66-mile-per-hour winds inside of this storm, which that might be incorporated into the next update.
Yeah, so, the surface pressure, they didn't find it lower. They actually, what they found was higher, but the stronger wind speed. So, yeah, I understand why with this they kept it the same, just to kind of figure out what exactly it's doing. Is it really still strengthening? What's going on here? But still, that's a decent tropical storm. That's, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. It's getting up there into a decent tropical storm. It's not the low-level 40, 45-mile-per-hour tropical storm.
So the number one question everybody wants to know, do you think this would become a hurricane? I'm not, it is, and we're going to get into this, the details of it. It is being sheared apart like crazy.
I will say it strengthened more and faster than I initially thought. But with the shear, it still has a ways to go to actually make it to hurricane status. So I won't say, never say never. It's the Gulf. That thing is just, quite a
I think based on Dvorak analysis, satellite analysis, in places that don't have the benefit of a hurricane hunter, there's no way. Now, what could happen is if one of the C-130s fly through the center of this and they find those winds, then maybe. But I think, and that would be like a very core, a very small area, and it would not be impacting anybody directly. And that's even with these 60-mile-per-hour winds, because you see how close to the coast this is. But I just went through, checked all the reports on the coast. As of 2 o'clock here, max wind gust I'm seeing is around 40, 45 miles per hour. Yeah, 37 knots.
What was the fastest, if you remember? I'm putting you on the spot. But did you see Panama City and Panama City Beach? What was the fastest they had?
I think they had a wind gust of about 35.
Wow, that's not much at all.
Apalachicola.
Apalachicola.
Oh my God, what is wrong with me?
No.
I knew that. They got the wind gust of 37. Jesus Christ. They're the ones getting, because they're the closest. They're kind of in the right front quadrant of this, and they're kind of getting those winds wrapping around from the east. Tropical storm warnings, though, are in place there from Apalachicola. Jeez. All the way out through Biloxi into New Orleans, and really the entire Mississippi River Delta under warnings at this time. Low-end tropical storm, though, for those spots. Even a little kind of coastal flood is possible there, although they're not having storm surge warnings anymore.
Yeah, just the way the wind is flowing around the system, going to kind of push some of that water on shore. So you could call it a surge of 1 to 3 feet. And they do bring that forecast up higher, 4 to 6, for some parts of coastal Louisiana and some parts of coastal Mississippi. But generally speaking, especially for the people who live over there, anyone who would be influenced by a surge of that much, their house is on stilts. They know what they're doing. I say that because I worked there last, and I know those people are prepared and ready. But just that onshore flow kind of pushing some of that water up onto shore.
And you know what? Speaking of that area out there, and people are prepping up for it, even the little kind of minute flooding that we're going to see, maybe places like US 90 could see some water level rises. They are prepping up. So why don't we take a look at some of these preps here. We'll toss it to one of our the reporters. I think it's Alyssa Gomez out of New Orleans, and see some of the reports that we have going on out here.
Another tropical storm is on the horizon for Houma, and with memories of the last one still fresh on the mind, residents and parish leaders are hoping that they are better prepared this time around.
You want a 15, a 10, or a 20?
Destiny Parfait sells produce at this stand in Houma. The longer she sat out Monday afternoon, the less customers she sees.
I think it's because a lot of people are worried about what this disturbance is going to do.
Another tropical storm potentially headed toward the region has people on edge because the impacts of last storm, not so sweet.
We had a huge disturbance here. It wasn't supposed to be anything, but some people lost their homes. are still trying to get ready for that and get prepared for that. So we have a lot to be worried about.
Boarded up storefronts and tarps on houses are reminders of what happened just over a month ago.
It wasn't supposed to be that bad with Arthur. We ended up with 6 tornadoes, and so we just got to make sure we're prepared.
Part of that preparation is clearing catch basins, preparing pump stations, and being more ready for strong winds with this event.
We had a couple homes lose roofs, and so in those situations, just make sure that you're trying to do everything you can to stop from what you have flying into somebody else's property.
It's really kind of noteworthy there because they're talking about Arthur a month ago.
Yeah.
A lot of people already forgot about Arthur. But
especially here locally and on the First Coast. Yeah, people forgot that Arthur happened, but it was record flooding for parts of western coastal Louisiana. There in Houma, they're talking about all those tornadoes that they had. Houma is another place that has been wrecked time and time again. Hurricane Ida really slammed into Houma hard. So another community in Louisiana that unfortunately knows these storms all too well. I am glad to see that they are preparing ahead of this one.
Well, hey, I don't think this is going to be as much of a punch as Arthur did. Arthur's big problem was it was a lot of rain, ridiculous amount of rain. But for those the one gentleman I mentioned, several tornadoes also came out of that, and that's still a possibility here with this too.
It is. Even there's still a lot of uncertainty with exactly where it's going. Is it going to make landfall in Louisiana? Is it going to stay just south in the Gulf? Either way, that's going to bring parts of Louisiana to that front right quadrant, which would bring the higher risk of tornadoes associated with that.
Well, the good news is so far a lot of the convection is towards the south.
Yes.
And this is all due to wind shear. And we always talk about wind shear. Well, this is it in just plain example of it. And you know what I often say with wind shear? It's kind of like if you have a birthday cake and you're going to blow out the flames and the flames tilt a little bit. This is it. The winds are coming in from the east. You see the kind of overall convection blowing towards the south and west here. And the center of Bertha completely exposed. And we can just kind of zoom right in on it here. So when I say exposed, the higher cloud tops here indicated there in the red. Well, the low-level center is right in here, and it doesn't have those cloud tops right over top of it right now.
And so if that continues on its trajectory, moving west, it is going to make a landfall in Louisiana, and it's going to be a wind event. How wild to maybe for some not see any sort of rain, maybe just a few little sprinkles, but just it's going to be that steady wind for areas like potentially near New Orleans in that area, especially since all the rain is to the south. Places like New Orleans, big popular areas, might just get a whole lot of sustained gusty winds, which has its own problems. I think there will be a lot of power outages, but that area always very quick to flood. I think, as we mentioned earlier, coastal flooding a concern with some of that water pushing on shore. But when it comes to the rainfall, if that stays south, that's a good thing.
And we just actually just saw some video out of Gulfport, and sunny skies there right now. It looks like
sense.
A beautiful day. May already start to see some sturgeon a little bit around Panama City, just because those winds are wrapping in from the south in that area right there, back towards the east in Apalachicola. And it's kind of pushing some of that water on shore. And so you don't need the storms, you don't need the rain and everything to actually see some coastal flooding and a little bit of coastal inundation, because it's not so much about the rain with that. It's about that general push on shore. This is another look, water vapor imagery, not only sheer, but even some dry air really just kind of beating this thing on the top end of it.
So, I'm surprised that they've found stronger winds.
Yes.
It's usually these things can start to really quickly weaken and shear apart a storm.
And what Lee's talking about here is the hurricane hunters, of course, just flying through there, and they found those 66 mile per hour winds, which is pretty wild. But like I mentioned, though, that is not the entire storm by any means. They look how many passes they did. They did like 5-6 passes, and they knew exactly where to go and to find the exact part where you do have those winds a little bit higher out here. But I think the wind shear is going to continue to keep this thing kind of at bay from its max intensity or where it could be. Because, sea surface temperatures where this is at right now is definitely, like, if we had no shear and this was kind of a perfect vertical shaft for the exhaust here and everything with a storm, I would say we would have a very dangerous storm system on our hands.
Absolutely, the way that was quickly strengthening. But now, I just had another thought. So watching those hurricane hunters, we've been watching them for hours now, and they found that 66 mile per hour wind early in their flight, and then nothing else ever popped up.
Mm-hmm.
So they stayed out there for hours, and they found nothing else. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's also a sign that, and why with this 2 o'clock advisory, they kept it exactly as it is. Because maybe at first they're thinking, okay, still strengthening, and now it's starting to back off again as that shear continues to inhibit it.
Mm-hmm. And they might have got that wind. That 66 could have just been from a thunderstorm too.
Yeah, that's very true.
It may not be the general wind speed in there. It could be just like one of these local storms because the pressure actually up to 990 millibar, 99 millibars from 995. So I just showed it a second ago here, the spaghetti plots, or oops, wrong graphic.
So that's the good news for us here on the First Coast. We know for sure it is moving west and away from us.
Yeah, just general, and I'll come back to this surge graphic here in a second, but or coastal flooding. I don't even really want to call it surge. I think that's a little misleading because it's like coastal inundation in a few spots.
Yeah.
But every single member of the GFS and Euro says that way. This is not going to be coming back towards Jacksonville, and pretty confident it's going to actually head out around the New Orleans area there, coming on shore. Kind of what the track is saying, there's a pretty good confidence of it just kind of skirting the coastline.
Yeah.
So here are some of the main points, though. Bertha continues to be sheared apart. Tropical storm warnings are in place along the Gulf Coast, so there are some warnings. Here on the East Coast, we also have a rip current risk is still potentially out here.
We do. You got the chalk out and you were sketching up a lot of info about that. Do we have that loaded in? We should have
I
played
should have
it.
put that in there.
But yes, as you were describing how now we have this southerly flow, these southerly winds leading to rip currents here on the First Coast too.
Yeah, it's mainly because this does have a large kind of broad wind field on this thing. So for us here on the First Coast and in around Jacksonville, what we have going on is you see here on the right side of the screen, those winds are coming in from the south. So we're getting what we call a littoral current. Basically, parallel to the coast type of winds. It's the type of day where the weather's pretty beautiful, but you go out there in the water, not only do you have rip currents, but also, and I've been in these, and it's kind of scary where you're just like, la, 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 having fun, and then you look up and you realize your towel's like...
Oh, yeah, way down, you just don't even realize.
Yeah, you don't even realize it.
Floating away.
I guess I'm moving now. It's one of those days where, and then let's say how fast you're moving along the coast. You do hit one of those like little sandbars or something like that change the water and shoots you right out, and that's where those rip currents come into play. So today is one of those days. It might be beautiful out, but I would still highly suggest staying out of the water.
Yeah, I don't know if you have the Neptune Beach camera loaded up. We were looking at that in the noon show, and that was a great shot because it showed, one, the red flags flying for rip currents, and two, you could see the water, how it's a little bit rougher, and so you could see that flow and that current to the left. And so we can pull up the Jax Beach camera. I liked the Neptune Beach camera better because it was just a little bit closer to the water, so you could see more of it. Can you pull up the
Jax Beach and put it on here? That'd be great. Yeah, thank you. Just because my graphics are being a little finicky right now.
Okay.
So yeah. Oh, there we go. So yeah.
That's a little hard. But I don't know what Jax Beach is flying, but Neptune Beach was flying red flags.
I actually can see the red flag on top
of the there. Yep,
station.
Sure enough.
Yeah.
So red flags flying there, so high rip current risk, and look at the waves. You can kind of see the direction that they are moving.
Yeah, actually, if you look kind of closely, you can see they are moving from south to north right there.
And just we're looking north, just for everyone to remind you what we're kind of looking at. We're really looking northeast, but yeah.
But they're not really coming head on into. They're not really coming head on. My graphics just. Okay.
Well, anyway.
We're probably going to have to cut this stream short and maybe go to something else because it looks like our computer just rebooted on me.
Live television, live stream. But yeah, we showed you guys everything we wanted to show you. We talked about the cone that's moving to the west. They're preparing in places like Louisiana for impacts, a little bit of coastal flooding for places from the Florida Panhandle all the way through coastal Louisiana. Rainfall for some parts, there was that flooding risk earlier, but now, a lot of that rain's falling on the southern side of that storm, and so you don't have as much rainfall. So what we will watch for here in the coming hours and the coming days, the wind, and especially when it makes landfall, what sustained winds we'll see, and the coastal flooding potential as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, that's a look at what's happening out here right now in your 2 o'clock advisory. Not much of a change.
Next one's going to be out at 5 o'clock, which
Yeah.
Lou Turner will have in the 5 o'clock newscast. So we will see you guys there, and we'll also be streaming again at 4:30 today.
Right.
See you guys then.